Not to sound like a jerk or anything, but Tampa Bay Lightning fans are doing backflips right now because Ryan Callahan has just been placed on the LTIR. Let's go over the news break. Tampa Bay Lightning forward Ryan Callahan has placed on long-term injured reserve after being diagnosed with degenerative disc disease of the lumbar spine. General Manager Julien Brisebois announced Thursday. According to Fox's Sports Kaylee Chelios, it's been recommended Callahan no longer plays professional hockey. Callahan has 1 year remaining on his contract at a cap hit of $5.8 million. With the veteran winger landing on LTIR, it allows Lightning to exceed their upper salary cap limit to match Callahan's AAV. Wow. The 34-year-old was dealt to the Bolts in 2014, of course, after serving as captain of the New York Rangers. He steadily dealt with injuries throughout his tenure in Tampa and racked up 17 points in 52 games last season. Callahan's played 13 NHL seasons, registering 286 points across 757 contests. Now, don't get me wrong. This, I feel really bad for the guy. This is absolutely awful news. It sounded like in other articles that I read he wanted to play even longer, get onto another contract as well. When you've been doing this all your life, I'm sure it's devastating news for him and his family, and my condolences to them. But Julien Brisebois is doing cartwheels behind closed doors. $5.8 million, are you kidding me? I remember when less than a week ago, days ago, the Tampa Bay Lightning had signed Braden Coburn, right? Left defenseman, age 34, for a really good deal, mind you, $1.7 million for 2 years. He probably could have made double that, around double that on the open market. He took a cut because of this. This team is so stacked they could take another run, a couple, 2, 3, 4 runs at a Stanley Cup. Now everyone's been saying they're signing Braden Coburn, and they only had around just over $7 million in cap space. What about Braden Point? He's the big one, the big enchilada, right? At 23 years old, he's an RFA. He's gonna demand some big coin. I want to say anywhere between $8 and $10 million a season. Not to mention that Dan Girardi and Anton Strawman, both right-hand defensemen, Strawman 32, Girardi 35, are UFAs as well. So their defense is taking a bit of a shot too. And you're like, what? What are they going to do? How are they going to... Now they only have, after the Coburn signing, you're like, they've got just under $6 million. They can't sign Point. They'll be lucky if they can sign Strawman, really. I know, he's not an offensive defenseman. We all know that. But he's a really reliable defensive defenseman. Right-handed shot, which are still hard to find, who has been paired up with Hedman for the longest time. He could probably make around, on the UFA market, $5 million is not out of the question. And just with just under $6 million left, you're like, okay, Braden Point's getting traded, right? Nope, not anymore. He's not, to the sadness of the rest of the team in the Eastern Conference and the entire NHL. Because now, let me do the math. Hold on 1 second. So the Lightning now have, with the Callahan's contract on the LTIR, have just over, I want to say, $11.6 million available now. All their players are signing, team-friendly contracts because of the state tax, blah, blah, blah. We can say it's because of that. We can say it's because they have a stacked team who are ready to, go for a cup. Players are taking a pay cut. Let's not get into that. But, words. Braden Point could very well sign for maybe even a bridge deal. to help his team to be able to sign Anton Strawman, who would probably be. I mean, he was making. I want to say $4.5 million. That was his last contract. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was a 2014-15 till this past season. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 5 years, $4.5 million. So they're probably going to sign him. Maybe they'll sign him for around the same thing, and still have money for Braden Point, and maybe Dan Girardi. He's a defenseman as well. He's 35 years old. By now, he's just probably looking for a cup. Really, the last was it 6 seasons here? He was making 5.5 a year, and his point totals. He didn't put up lots of points. He was like a 12-point guy. He was more about the plus minus, plus 16, plus 18, plus 15. He was a really reliable guy you can have on the right hand side. So I can totally see him taking a huge pay cut. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Maybe goes to UFA market and tries to cash in again with another team. But what other team is going to sign him for 5.5, 5 plus? I don't know. That are only maxed out against the cap right now. Maybe teams like Montreal needs a left defenseman, but you know what I'm saying. Teams that have a lot of cap space. I don't. He's a kind of final piece, and that's what I would be doing if I were him. So now Tampa looks like they can do it all. They've got other forward RFAs, mind you, Adam Ern, Danik Martel, Cedric Paquette, but all those guys are like borderline third, fourth line guys. Or guys you might inject alongside a couple of really talented, skilled forwards, maybe on the second line. They've got room now. This is unbelievable. And I'm not saying there's anything sinister about this, but the timing's awfully conspicuous, isn't it? For a year where everyone's wondering how they're going to do anything with only like around $7 million in cap space back before they signed Coburn. With all those guys to re-sign, and this happens. Reminds me a little bit of Stefan Robidas from the Toronto Maple Leafs and Jeffrey Lupul, also the Toronto Maple Leafs, just to name a couple. And listen, I'm not saying this is not real and this injury isn't real and it's kosher or anything like that. I'm not a doctor, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have any insider information besides what I saw in the news. But the timing, it's just a little bit conspicuous. No, maybe. Let me know what you think of this news. I would love to hear from you, Tampa Bay fans, especially, or anyone who is scared of facing them in the first round. I'd like to hear from you too. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you soon.